Alright guys, I'm going to make a video about story right now, and I'm going to spoil a whole bunch of stuff in this. So if you have not played through Act 1's and Acts 1, 2, and most of 3, because I haven't finished the game yet, I'm closing in on 100 hours, and I wasn't going to do anything until after I hit 100 hours, but some stuff happened during yesterday's stream and this morning's stream, being Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 10th of 2023. Couple of major story beats happened that made me go, holy crap, I want to talk about these things. So you've had your warning. This is going to be, I think this is the first video I've done on my channel that actually talks about the story. This isn't so much a review or game mechanics or anything else. It's just talking about story. So if you don't want Act 3 spoiled, probably don't watch this. I will say the caveat to this is that my story is related to having Gale, Lae'zel, and Shadowheart in my party, with Shadowheart as my romance option. So some of the things I'm going to talk about are specific to those characters and the backstories that they have with my character, but there are also some things related to the main story of Act 3 that are probably going to be spoiled here as well. So I would just say overall, if you don't want story elements spoiled, don't watch this. But if you don't care, or if you've already played through Act 3, you've already beat the game, then you're going to be fine. So without further ado, if you're new here and you like what you see here today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams at 11 a.m. Central Time. There's a Discord channel. We do lots of other stuff beyond Baldur's Gate 3, so check out all the playlists. Final spoiler warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So, Shadowheart. I think I finished up Shadowheart's story today. She said she still needs a day to collect her thoughts, and I'm supposed to, probably take a long rest at the camp and then see what she has to say. But essentially, my route with Shadowheart had me rescue her and bring her back from the dark side. She changed her hair color and turned to white, and she became a Selûnite again. And we finally made our way down through the Shar temple, whatever you want to call it, cloister, and fought our way through, which was an amazing battle, by the way, with the Drow cleric from Baldur's Gate 1, who's I forget her name now. It's with a V, and I'm spacing on her name, but she was the main boss, which was, I was not expecting that. That was a great. That's going to tie into the second part of my video, by the way, the throwbacks to Baldur's Gate 1. But getting to the end and finding her parents in that situation and realizing that we can't actually save her parents sucked so hard, but also hit so well. Like the bittersweet ending where they get to see their daughter return to them and see her become who they always knew that she was, and knowing that they can move on in peace. Again, bittersweet that we couldn't deal with Shar and force her to release the parents or anything like that. But I realized that not every ending needs to be the fairy tale happy ending. Like, there needs to be tragedy in storytelling for it to be impactful. And this was definitely a bittersweet, tragic moment. But the way it was done, when she is the one who takes care of it, and they become motes of light for Selûne, and they become these motes of light that guide others in the darkness. And I was like, oh, that is such a cool ending for her parents, who have suffered years of agony and torture at the hands of Shar, and the crazy psycho cult people. And then suddenly they can go off and become guiding lights for all of others who need help. I was like, that's a really cool ending. I have to say that after having played this, and I'm probably going to do another. As a matter of fact, I should probably make it this video, but it's not going to be. And I was just thinking about this here. I'll do another video about Shadowheart's story. But I want to say here, before I do that video, that Shadowheart's story is the best companion story I have ever experienced in an RPG. Ever. I can't even think of anything that, in my mind, that comes close to this. The voice acting, the stakes, she could lose her soul. And I went the good option. I realized there's other options for her. But I went with the whole, we're going to save you, we're going to bring you back, we're going to, Again, another video on that. The Shadowheart story was amazing, and I got to the end of that and I went, holy crap, that was cool. But what really also got me the last couple of days is like going through Act 1 and 2, you're always seeing like little Easter egg mentions of things that throw back to the first couple of games. You got characters like Volo. The mention of places like Joaquin's Rest and Baldur's Gate, the city itself, the Nashkel Inn in Baldur's Gate 1, and of course meeting Jaheira along the way. And I still haven't met Minsk. Like, I'm still, guys, like I said, I'm close to 100 hours in, but I'm pretty sure I've got another 50 or 60 hours minimum through my Druids playthrough, which is the main playthrough. I'm not rushing because I'm also playing Starfield, and I've got Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty coming up too, so it's 2 or 3 hours, maybe 3 times a week right now. It's gonna be a long time before I finish Baldur's Gate 3, which hopefully you like that because it means that it's gonna be on my channel for a long time to come, along with the streams and everything. Um, the Easter eggs have been slowly getting bigger and bigger as we got closer and closer to the city, and then we got to the city, and we're seeing things from the first game and getting calls back. But it wasn't until the last 2 streams, yesterday and today, where it just started. They like went from like jab jab to like jab hook uppercut, jab 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 hook uppercut. Like they just started hitting hard and heavy. So the first one, and again, spoiler alert if you made it this far. I'm still spoiling all the things, everybody. Sarevok. What? I was not expecting to run into Sarevok. And the backstory that they gave him, even though he's only here for a few minutes, right? It's kind of like, I feel like that whole encounter was just put in there as an Easter egg for the fans. So well done. Like, the backstory they gave him of how he came back and why he was brought back, and it's like, oh, that's creepy as hell, and it ties into the Orin storyline so well. And I'm still on a mission to kill Orin. Like, I haven't got to her yet. We're on the way. I figured out how to get to the Temple of Baal now. We took care of Sarevok during the stream. I think it was yesterday. That was so well done. And then now, knowing that we're going down into this Undercity, and we're starting to see more places from the first game, like, right? Because this was all 100 years ago when Sarevok was here, and so there's still all this stuff that has happened in the city related to his what he did. And to be back on those old stomping grounds with new characters is a trip. And here's the thing. I know for a fact, because I've had folks in my stream telling me stuff, I know for a fact that there's a lot more detail to all of this stuff if you have Jaheira in your party. And my second playthrough, which is the Sorcerer, which I'm slowly doing offline, I will eventually make that my live stream character when I finish up the Druid. I'm bringing Jaheira along with me on the journey when that character gets to that point. So whenever I get to Act 2 and I find Jaheira, she's going to become my Druid for the party, and my healer and everything. I can't wait to see what other throwbacks to the first game we get with Jaheira in the party, and then getting Minsk and other things. I just feel that the everything was very subtle in terms of the Easter eggs to the previous games until we got deeper into Act 3, and now I feel like at every turn I'm finding more stuff, which it doesn't feel like fan service. It feels like, the Sarevok thing, it could have felt like fan service, but I think the way they handled it with the existing story with Orin was so brilliantly done that it didn't feel like fan service. It was like, oh, that's cool, but also tragic and creepy as hell, and yeah, I'm not letting you live. Like, I'm definitely taking you out, which that fight, by the way, was legit. That was one of, I think, after the Anti-Ethel fight, the second Anti-Ethel fight you do in the basement of the Elfsong Tavern. This has been the most difficult fight I've faced with Sarevok so far. I mean, I've still got a lot of game left ahead of me. I've kind of said all that to say this. What I really kind of wanted to address in this video was, I think that, quick commercial break, everyone, to give a shout out to our first official guild officer, Bubbalonia, as well as all of the guild champions, and of course all of the members who help keep me on the air full time. To join as a member, simply click that join button below and pick your tier, but you can also support with Super Chats on any live stream or premiere, or Super Thanks on any upload or YouTube short. Don't forget the Discord. Let's get back to the video. More than any company in recent history, Larian has done something that I think is really hard to do, which is create a legacy game. And what I mean by a legacy title is something that's going to last a generation. You know, it's going to be this generation's Baldur's Gate 2. Baldur's Gate 2 is my generation's CRPG. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is this generation's CRPG. There's nothing else like it on the market. There's nothing else like it in the works that we know of. As much fun as I'm having with like Starfield, that's a completely different game that doesn't scratch the itches of like it doesn't have the same amount, it doesn't have the same storytelling. Yes, the companions are good and I find them highly enjoyable and everything else, but it's not, they're not, and I hesitate to use this word because I am very reluctant to ever tell someone that I think a piece of art is better or worse, because art is highly subjective and that's going to depend on different people. For me personally, I think that yes, the storytelling in terms of the writing and the voice acting and everything else in Baldur's Gate 3 is better than Starfield as an example, but I still find Starfield highly enjoyable. It's kind of like I said this to somebody that is like, I like McDonald's and I like gourmet steak. They both serve beef. I like beef in all of its forms, so I'm happy to consume beef wherever beef is produced. Like anything, if you serve me beef, I'm gonna eat it. I like a Big Mac. I like, the quarter pounder with cheese. I like Happy Meals. I love the French fries at McDonald's, but I also like to sit down with a $50 steak and know that I've got some Wagyu and horseradish, some prime rib, red wine, loaded baked. Fuck, now I'm hungry. The point I'm trying to make is that um, Baldur's Gate 3 has done something with their storytelling that makes it a legacy game. And I think that for people who were looking for something where there was a captivating story to get them into what is the magic of Dungeons and Dragons and the magic of tabletop gaming as a whole, this is the game. I've seen so many people who have never played tabletop or D&D before come away from this experience and comment on my videos or drop in the Discord and be like, I had no idea D&D could be like this. And I'm like, oh, you're in for a treat, because now you're going to be opened up to all the amazing modules for tabletop gaming that are out there. And we're currently in the middle of the rise of virtual tabletop. And more real, obviously there's Critical Role and Dungeon Dudes and stuff like that who have become famous over the last, 7-8 years with the rise of virtual tabletop. But this is the perfect time to be getting into Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop gaming and games like this, because you're going to be seeing Rogue Trader is just around the corner. For those of you who don't know Rogue Trader, that's Owlcat Games, who made a couple of Pathfinder games in the past, and now they're doing a Warhammer game. You've got companies like Solasta, who did another 5th edition game. Well, the company is Tactical Adventures, and they made a game called Solasta, which is the same rule set as Dungeons and Dragons. It's the same rule set as Baldur's Gate 3, I should say. It's 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, but they have their own world and their own IP, whereas Larian Studios is very much working with the Forgotten Realms, which is the Wizards of the Coast owned IP, and so there's a lot of rules they have to follow in terms of the lore and locations and everything else, whereas Solasta was able to go off and do its own thing. And that's an indie thing with 40 people on the team versus Baldur's Gate 3 and what Larian Studios did with 400 people on the team. So there is a level of scale in that conversation as well. But I would say that Larian has done something that none of the other companies have managed to do yet, which is to take that core CRPG experience and scale it up to a AAA. No other company's been willing to do that, by the way, because this has always been viewed as like a niche. Like CRPGs and that top-down turn-based, that's a niche. Couple million, maybe you'll get a couple million sales, but it's not, we're not going to sell 20 million copies of that game. If we want to sell 20 million copies, we got to make Red Dead Redemption 2, we got to make God of War, we got to make Call of Duty, we got to make these big tentpole games. And Larian has managed to show that that's actually not true. If you build a good game, people will play, the reputation will spread, and you will still sell millions of copies, as long as you've got that core essence of putting the quality of the product first. And they still have issues with bugs. We've talked about that in other episodes. There's still a lot of bugs and performance issues with Baldur's Gate 3, but the storytelling And the legacy impact of this game, I think, is something that's going to live on for the next generation as this generation's CRPG. Just my prediction. Love to hear your thoughts. Drop them down below. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams at 11 a.m. Lots of private videos for members. Don't forget the Discord. Links are down below, and we'll see you in the next one, everybody. Stay safe and happy gaming.